I'm going to show you 3 strategies that'll make any lawyer think twice before coming for your assets. These strategies are designed to thwart B.S. lawsuits from taking your investment, your personal residence, or your business. Now, before we get into that, I want to talk about what a creditor can collect against, because that's going to really play into how we set up structures for you to avoid attorneys and creditors and snoops from getting into your actual affairs and taking those assets. So here are some things that they can do. Number 1, they can garnish your account. If you have a bank account in your personal name, or you have a bank account in the name of your business and they're suing your business, a way for a creditor to get that cash is they'll just apply for a garnishment on that account. And the bank will actually hold those funds in abeyance for that creditor. Other things they can do: if you have real estate, they can lien your real estate. Not only can they get a post-judgment lien, sometimes they can obtain what we call a prejudgment lien against your property. So if I was suing you and you have property in your own name, I could move for a lease pendens or a writ of attachment, which is essentially a lien on your property before the lawsuit's even finished. What does that mean? Well, you can't sell, you can't refinance a property if you did try to do one of those. More importantly, if you tried to sell, the proceeds would be paid over to the court. They could also foreclose on your assets. So if I get a judgment against you, I can then move to foreclosure and take these things. So here's what we want to do. We want to put together a plan and use strategies that make: number 1, you appear worthless. Because no one wants to go after somebody that does not have assets. So we want to look at strategies that when someone's looking at you, say they're typing up your name, say, "Hey, what does Clint own?" Well, they don't see anything in my name. Or if they were suing my business, what is that business owned again? You're not going to find assets in the name of the business. Or what you're going to do, your business is going to look like it's fully indebted, because that's another strategy as well. I'm going to share with you is how to make it appear is that you owe so much money. Step in line. I'm not worth going after. So let's break this down. Let's first start with how to protect your business. So if you've got a small business or maybe a medium-sized business, one mistake that I see people make time and time again is they keep a lot of cash in their business. Now, maybe you're saying, well, I need to keep that cash in my business for business operations. I get it. That does happen. But here are some things I want you to think about when it comes to protecting your business. So let's say I have this corporation here. It could be an LLC. It really doesn't matter. So here's my entity. And inside of this entity, let's say it had $400,000 cash. Well, why would you leave that money inside of your entity? Because by leaving it inside of your entity, if something goes wrong with the business, they're going to sue and try to collect this. So what you should do is distribute out, let's say, $300,000. That will pull out of the company, put it into my personal name, and then I'll move it over here into a separate LLC. So think of this as your banking entity. So if you're running the business, what I suggest you do is you always have a banking entity set up that holds your cash that you're going to be using in your business. And that's where you should be parking it. Don't leave the cash in your business. Similarly, if you have equipment that you use in your business, maybe you have delivery trucks or things like that, vehicles, don't leave those in your business, because things like that, creditors are going to want to come after if they're suing your company. So by putting the assets over here in the LLC, the cash, what you're setting up for yourself is this strategy right here. So now once the cash is in there, then what you can do is you can enter into a line of credit agreement with your existing business. So in this case, what I would do is I would enter into this line of credit for $1 million. And when I say $1 million, what I mean is just pick a number out of there. It really doesn't matter. You don't have to have $1 million inside of that limited liability company to use this strategy, because what I'm trying to do here is make it appear as if my company is fully indebted. If somebody is looking to come after me, they're going to say, wow, his company, it owes $1 million to this other limited liability company. Now, what's key about that as well is when you set up this LLC, set it up in Wyoming so they don't see your name attached to it. So now once I enter into this line of credit, I'm going to put a debt on my company of $1,000, and the way I'm going to fix this. So people will see it as I'm going to file a UCC-1 financing statement against my business. So my LLC is going to file. Think of it like a mortgage against my business for $1 million. Now, here are some points that I want you to consider. People will tell you if you do that, you try to go out and get a traditional loan, no one's going to loan your company money. I know I can release it at any time, so I can go out there and get traditional financing. What this is a smokescreen. By filing this lien, I called a friendly lien against my business. I am telling the world at large, if anybody is looking at me like a creditor saying, hey, yeah, I want to take this case, we'll go through that business. This is my retirement plan. Well, think again, because when they run an asset search on your business, it's going to have this $1 million lien recorded against it. Reality, it's just a smokescreen. It's you, right? You owe yourself money. Wow! How bad can that be? So for business owners, one of the best strategies you can implement is called a friendly lien between a Wyoming LLC that you set up, that you put your cash in there. And then you put that UCC-1 against your business. And remember, if you need the cash, because people have asked me, well, Clint, how do I get the cash from my LLC to my business when I need that money? Right. If we can check, that's all you got to do, or transfer the money online. It's not rocket science here. You're in control of both entities. Now, the second thing I want to teach you how to protect, to keep it away from creditors, is your investment accounts and your savings. How do we protect our investment accounts and savings from creditors and from aggressive attorneys? Simple. Just like we talked about with your business, you take those accounts and get them out of your name. You don't want to keep all that money in your own name. You want to put it in a limited liability company. Again, use a Wyoming LLC. In fact, if you have a business and you have a personal residence, this could be the same entity. You could use it for yourself and your business. So what I'm going to do is set up a Wyoming LLC and put all my savings inside of it. And if you carry a big, fat checking account, put most of your checking money in there as well. There's no reason why you should have it in your personal name. Then you'll be the member and manager of this LLC, so you have total access to the funds at any time. Don't worry about taxes. It's completely tax neutral, just another account that you create. But it's not in your name. It's in a limited liability company. Now, if somebody came after you and they said, well, how much do you have in your personal checking account? Well, I have $14,000. This is the only thing they could collect on. Your brokerage account would be inside of here. So my stocks are inside of this Wyoming LLC. My savings account is inside of there. And whenever I need them, all I have to do is write a check or transfer the money online. There's no maxing. You're in control of both entities. Now, the third thing I want to talk about is how to protect your personal residence. Again, that's an asset you have a lot of equity in. And if someone got a judgment against you, they're going to take that judgment, record that judgment in the county where you live, they'll go down to the county recorder's office, record the judgment. You try to sell, you try to refee, that creditor's going to get paid off. So when it comes to protecting your personal residence, again, we have to get it out of your name. We don't want your name associated with the property. So the way we protect personal residences is by using what is referred to as a personal residence trust. I'm going to call that a party. So you set up a trust and you don't have to file this with the state. This is a private document. We set up this personal residence trust and I put my personal residence into there. I'm the beneficiary of this trust. You want to use a nominee trustee, or what I would use is that same LLC that I set up for my savings. I'll make that the trustee of this trust. And the reason why I'm doing that is because if someone were to look at title to that property and they look at my personal residence, they'll see it's no longer in Clint's name. It's in the name of the Green Box Trust, care of Funky Town LLC trustee. None of that points back to me. So if somebody gets a judgment and they record the judgment in the county where I live, it won't attach to my property because my house is no longer in my own name. This is a very simple strategy for people to protect their personal residence. You create a personal residence trust with an LLC, a Wyoming LLC as a trustee. Deed your property into the trust, and your problems are minimized such that you could sell, you could refee that property. And again, those proceeds get paid to the trust, not to you, so they don't go to your creditor. Now, the last item I want to share with you is how to protect your investment real estate. We've watched my other videos on this channel. You know, I talk about using limited liability companies. But the thing is, yes, that protects you from what happens with your real estate, and it does protect your real estate from claims that are brought against you because that's why we're using an LLC. But what you can also consider is taking it one step further. Because if I have a piece of property inside of a limited liability company, let's say this house located in California, this rental property, and it has $700 equity in that property, well, that's an attractive target. If I have a disgruntled tenant and they want to sue, they're going to come after my LLC because they see a big fat payday here. Because when you look, what you would find if you looked at title is a first with, let's say, Wells Fargo, and the amount of debt on that property is $200,000. The value of that property is $900. So we know there's $700,000 available in that lawsuit if I were to be successful. Well, your job should be to make it appear as if there is no equity available to a creditor. So how do we make that equity disappear? Obviously, you can go and try to get an equity line of credit from an investment bank that's willing to loan on an investment property. Probably not going to happen. Or if they did provide you with an equity line of credit, it's not going to be for the full amount. Maybe they'll go up to 60%. So rather than talking to a bank about this, why don't you become your own lender again, just like we did with the business? Remember that LLC, that Wyoming LLC we were talking about? Well, here comes a Wyoming LLC to the rescue one more time. This Wyoming LLC is going to file a line of credit where you get a line of credit, and we're going to file a deed of trust against that property for $700,000. So that gets recorded against the house. And if someone's looking at that property in that LLC and they're going, how much equity is available? Well, they're going to see the first with Wells Fargo for $200,000, then they're going to see a $700,000 lien or the second deed of trust from this obscure Wyoming LLC. The reason I'm saying use Wyoming is because Wyoming doesn't collect any information about who the members are, who the managers are in the LLC. So it provides anonymity. These strategies that I just shared with you are tested. They do work, but where people can screw this up is when they set up this Wyoming LLC or this LLC over here to be their banking entity. They do not use a jurisdiction like Wyoming, which protects their identity. They set it up in their own state. And so when someone pulls a search on that entity, they say, oh, it's Clint's house, Clint's LLC. Oh, I see what he's doing. He's put in this deed of trust on his property to make it appear as if the equity's been borrowed against when in reality, it probably hasn't. We don't want that to happen. So to break this down and recap, what have we done? We create one Wyoming LLC. Right here. And that Wyoming LLC can file a UCC-1 against our business. We've got a rental real estate LLC over here where we have our property. It can file a deed of trust against our rental real estate LLC. This LLC right here will also hold our savings and our investment accounts inside of it. And then to protect your personal residence, you can put that over here if you wanted to. You can even make this LLC a trustee of your personal residence. There are so many different ways we can build on these strategies and tailor them to your specific needs, but these are some effective steps to protect your assets and make it more difficult for creditors and attorneys to go after them. Please note that while these strategies can provide a layer of protection, they may not guarantee absolute immunity from legal actions or creditors. It's essential to consult with a qualified attorney or financial advisor who specializes in asset protection to ensure you're following the appropriate legal procedures and complying with the laws in your jurisdiction.